It's time, Brad. It's time to unleash Morez Johnson Jr.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Locked On Illini, a Tuesday episode. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Wisconsin-Illinois game on Tuesday night. I'm going to be talking a little Morez Johnson Jr. We've got a 5-star visiting the Illini campus. Lots to talk about when it comes to Illinois basketball. But first, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button, just so that this very episode and this show in general just goes out to other fans of the Illini. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Okay, so I watched tape now of Wisconsin and Michigan from last week. I've actually watched that game twice now. I watched it live, and then preparation for our matchup on Tuesday evening, I decided to just kind of skim through it one more time. And my everydayers in here are going to know what I'm about to say and which lineup I'm about to allude to, which I think can be devastating for Wisconsin. And that's the death lineup. Wisconsin severely struggles against big men, big physical guys. And it didn't work out for them against Michigan. Between Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, Wisconsin simply had no answer one way or the other. And Illinois has the tools to do what Michigan did against the Wisconsin Badgers. And so for me, that constitutes, and I kind of wish I had made this episode earlier, because I know on Monday, Brad Underwood kind of referenced this already, that he may have made a mistake in the game against Northwestern in not playing Morez Johnson and Tomislav Ivisic together. Now, for those who are just tuning in, sporadically to Locked On Illini, or maybe this is your first time tuning in, I've said for a couple weeks now that I really like the potential that a lineup of Kylan, Kasparis, Will Riley, Morez Johnson, and Tomislav Ivisic, that lineup can do. I think that's a lineup that a lot of other teams are just going to have a really difficult time matching up against. You've got scorers, you've got defenders, you've got shooters, and you've got size. But the issue is right now, Brad Underwood, for whatever reason, has decided not to play Morez Johnson Jr. the numbers that I think he should be playing. To give you an idea, I want to thank Vance Armstrong from Twitter, who posted this in regards to Morez's numbers against power conference opponents. So this includes Alabama, Arkansas, and Northwestern. So in 3 games, if you basically average it out to 28 minutes, right, which is somewhat reasonable, a guy that's kind of starterish minutes, 28 minutes kind of gives you an example or an idea of what kind of production a guy would be able to provide. If we extrapolate Morez Johnson's numbers to 28 minutes a game, he would be averaging 13.6 points per game, 11 rebounds, 3.4 blocks plus steals, and shooting 78% from the field. Now, I've said this before, you can't necessarily start Tomislav and Morez together, because if one of them gets hurt, you really don't have a backup for the other, just because, it looks like Kerry Booth is just nowhere to be found. Again, we've seen from Friday after Brad Underwood really just decided not to bring him in despite Ben Hummerkaus shooting 1 for 9 from the field. So there's something that Kerry Booth has simply not shown in practice that Brad Underwood just is not interested in bringing him in. So if Ivisic gets into foul trouble early in the game, the idea is you want to bring in Morez Johnson, and you don't really lose all that much. Sure, you lose something on the offensive side, but you kind of gain it on the defensive side. And Again, we've said this all season long. Morez Johnson Jr. was put on this earth to rebound that basketball. It's time to let Morez be Morez. We all saw it in high school basketball in the city of Chicago. We knew what kind of player he was going to be. And I'll be honest, if anything, he's gotten better earlier than I expected. He's playing like he did in high school. I thought, and it's natural that for big men, in particular in the Big Ten, it takes longer for them to adjust. It's just a very physical league, and the referees are always kind of picking on them. And if we're going to be honest here, I think that someone had mentioned that if we're extrapolating this his stats for 28 minutes, he'd be averaging 7 fouls a game. So fouling out. So it's not like he's not prone to that. But his game itself, that's translated to the college level. Morez Johnson would be a star on a lot of different basketball teams in the country. It's just unfortunate almost for him that he's on the same team as a Kasparis Jakushonis and a Will Riley, 2 freshmen that got a lot of publicity over summer and got a lot of hype, who are ranked a little bit higher. And so that's where the attention goes. Kasparis was arguably the most hyped prospect all offseason long, especially by Illinois fans. And Will Riley, in his first game, scored 30-plus points, kind of confirming the hype that came with him. But quietly, Morez Johnson is doing what Morez Johnson does. And truthfully, I think that Brad Underwood is starting to realize that he may be a freshman, but he's productive. And Morez Johnson is an asset that Brad has that not a lot of other coaches in the country have. You all know here that I'm a big Tomislav Ivičić fan, especially that from what I've seen this season, I've actually called him our best player. But even at 7'1", 255 pounds, he doesn't necessarily play as big and physical as his stature would dictate. Morez Johnson's kind of the opposite. Morez really does let the opponent know and feel just how big he is at 6'9", 245. Tomislav, is in particular on the offensive end, doesn't really assert himself the way a Kofi did or an Edey knew how to do, and just kind of control how big you are and establish your dominance. Morez is not quite the scorer, of course, that Tomislav is, much less Kofi or Edey. But again, he puts the pressure on the opposing bigs because he's not afraid to get physical. He's down for it, in fact. Morez is the type of player that opposing wings and opposing guards are going to be hesitant to driving at the rim, knowing Morez is down there. Because again, he very well might block that shot, but even if he doesn't, he's going to physically make you hurt. The fact that Brad addressed this in the pregame press conference where he talked about, I think I should have played Morez more, even with Tommy out there. I don't think they should do that for long stretches, but in a game like Northwestern, where you're talking about just a couple baskets here and there, and with just a couple minutes left, I think that's when you kind of unleash this lineup, because put the pressure on the opposition to try to figure out on how to stop it. I think that's the type of lineup that's going to eventually win you games in February and maybe even into March. On yesterday's episode of Locked on Illini, we had Rajiv from the Bucky Report, one of the best Wisconsin Badgers content creators out there, tell us point blankly that they can't guard big men, that they struggle against the big men when it comes to the defensive end. Well, we have two where we can unleash onto the Badgers, and that's exactly what we should do. Illinois 6.5-point favorites. We can't play around here, right? This is a game that we don't want the Illini to start 0-2 in conference play. I know I talked about this that earlier on in the season, that I felt like this young team would struggle and that they would take a while to really gel. But Wisconsin's still a team that I think we're talent-wise, we're better than, and the fact that we have this game at home makes it not quite a must-win, but definitely a game that you should. You don't want to all of a sudden lose back-to-back games against conference rivals, and then Saturday, we're going to be playing the number one team in the country, the Tennessee Volunteers. You're looking at the possibility of losing 3 straight games. Now, long term, that shouldn't be an issue, but you never quite know when it comes to young players, right? You never quite know when the confidence might start getting shaky. If Ben Hummerkaus has another bad shooting game, the spotlight gets even brighter. And again, Brad Underwood can spend all of the post-game press conference talking about his confidence in Ben. But at some point, that confidence needs to be rewarded. At some point, no matter how strong-minded you might be, you might start questioning whether you belong there. You know, when 1 for 9 becomes 2 for 15, becomes 4 for 25, and you continue to struggle right when we're about to reach the meat of our schedule, we're going to be playing Missouri in a couple weeks. Missouri just beat the number one team in the country a couple days ago. We're going to need Ben. We're going to need a lot of these guys, including Morez. And I think putting the Morez lineup in against Wisconsin is the perfect opportunity for him to build his confidence. Because, again, from what I've seen on that Wisconsin roster, I don't know who's going to guard him. I think Morez can absolutely feast. I think Tomislav can absolutely feast. I'm not going to have any 3 key points for this Wisconsin game this time around because one of the commenters responded to my last video when I did this for the Northwestern Wildcats game saying, hey, you got all 3 of them wrong. So obviously, you know what, I'm on a cold streak, so I'll just leave that at bay. But I'll just say, the 2 guys I'm going to be looking forward to watching on Tuesdays, I really hope we get a Ben Hummerkaus bounce back game. Just because for the kid's psyche. You know, if he can have even to shoot 2 for 5, 3 for 7, if he can have a couple buckets, again, he's going to get the open looks. He had the open looks against Northwestern. The opportunity will be there. I'm just hoping he's able to capitalize on them. And the other one's just Morez Johnson. I truly think that Morez Johnson is just one of those type of players that if, again, he wasn't on this team, he'd be getting a lot more hype. Every second he spends on the court is a productive second. And I think that once the Big Ten season really gets underway, it's time to unleash Morez Johnson. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I just want to quickly say shout out to the Discord. I appreciate the community that's growing slowly by slowly every single day. It's a community where we talk about Illinois sports, basketball, football, women's basketball. We talk Chicago professional sports if you're a Chicago fan, and also just life in general. So please, the link will be in the description if you're looking to have these sort of conversations all day, every day. I'm in there talking. And also just go ahead and check out your favorite social media. Locked On Illini, find me. I'm the one behind all those accounts. Send me a message, say hello. Don't say hello or say something nice or say something mean, whatever it is. I always appreciate the feedback that you guys continue to provide me for the show. It's my goal to hit 2,000 subscribers by the year 2025. Is it going to happen? Maybe, maybe not. But regardless, your continued support really helps me, keeps me motivated to constantly produce these shows for you every single day. For this next segment, I want to talk about Alex Costanza, a small forward out of Miami, Florida, 6'8", 205. According to the composite, he's ranked 15th in the entire country, the fourth best small forward and the third best player out of Florida. Now, Alex seems to be a guy that he may stick in 2026, but there's also some conversations about him possibly reclassifying to 2025. Now, the key to this recruitment is, stop me if you've heard this before, Orlando Antigua. Apparently, Orlando had played with Alex's father, Ed, in high school previously. And so Orlando, let's be honest, this is why we brought him back to Champaign. He knows any and everybody, and he's got relationships with everybody, not just in the country, but even internationally. And so this is just another five-star recruit that's being brought in for a official visit to Champaign, with Orlando being the lead. Now, Orlando hasn't been able to really secure prep prospect. Sure, he was the one behind Tomislav Ivicic, and someone who was very close to the Ivicic family. So I'm not saying he's gone over, but when it comes to young preps, we know that once we brought Orlando back into the fold, that bringing high 4 stars and 5 stars in for official visits was going to kind of be the norm. And it's something that us Illini basketball fans and recruiting fans can get excited about. But at some point, we need to lock some of these down, right? We had the Boozer kid over a couple months ago, but that really didn't go anywhere. We had the kids from Kentucky. That didn't really go anywhere. At some point, it's one thing bringing in top 25 recruits in for official visits, but at some point you just want to close it down and you want to really be able to, build on that recruiting class and show, hey, look, if we nail a 2025 5-star, then we can start showing that to the 2026 guy and the 2027 guy. And all of a sudden, and Illinois really does legitimize itself as a 5-star or 4-star program. As for Alex, there's not much out there. It looks like Illinois is battling the Syracuse Orange and Miami for his services. He seems very non-committal in the sense where it doesn't look like he's ready to make a decision anytime soon. So this doesn't seem like it's going to be one of those official visits where we're all going to be on commitment watch one way or the other. Normally, when a 5-star visits, I queue it up with the first segment, right? Because I know that's what you guys like. That's the kind of content that you guys are here for, especially on the basketball side. But this just seems like one of those where we're bringing him onto campus and we're going to try to make a really good impression. But I don't think that there's any chance that a commitment is going to be happening while he's here. Recruiting for the Illini has been fun over the past half decade or so. It seems like every single year, Brad Underwood has continued to bring in better and better players to really elevate the program to the point where now we're just coming off an Elite 8 season. Bringing Orlando back into the fold is just going to help. Again, we're going to be in the conversations for guys like Alex every single year at this point. Hopefully, I don't want to jinx anything. So, it's notable, but at the same time, hopefully Illinois makes a very strong impression. This is not the last guy we're going to be having in town over the next couple of months. There's already a couple names lined up that just haven't been official yet. And again, I'm not in this business to break news for kids. I like to have kids have their moments. So we'll continue to monitor the situation. If I hear anything, I'll definitely let you all know. But Illinois with another 5-star recruit coming into Champaign, and with 2 big games this week, it's a fun time to be in the Illini. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. It's guaranteed perfection in every single bite, and right now you can save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, score an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experiences, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages featuring gourmet favorites. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide for a limited time at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. Minimum purchase may apply. Don't forget, Tuesday night, Illinois will be battling the Wisconsin Badgers in Champaign. And immediately after the game, make sure you're locked in right here on Locked On Illini, where I'll be doing a post-game report. I'll be taking your comments. I'll be offering you my thoughts on how the game went. Hopefully, we get to celebrate together. If you joined me Friday after the Northwestern game, it was more of a therapy session. And, if that's what happens, that's what we'll do here as well. I really like to hear your guys' feedback. I know some of us do tend to get emotional. So it's my rule that after every single game, we all have 24 hours to air out our grievances. Feel free to overreact. Those post-game shows are a lot of fun. We tend to have a lot of people in here. So please, if you have no plans, make sure you hit that subscribe button, the notification button, all that fun stuff, because we do that here at Locked On Illini. That's going to just about wrap it up. Let me know who you want to be the player of the game. Who do you think needs to step up in order for the Illini to come out victorious against Wisconsin? Are you going to be worried at all if Illinois goes 0-2 in the Big Ten Conference? I'm very curious on your guys' thoughts. That's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for making Locked On Illini your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Big Ten podcast. Craig Shimon puts the Big Ten first when everyone else overlooks it. Find Locked On Big Ten on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Let's go, Illini. My quick prediction is Illinois 77, Wisconsin 71. Let's take care of business at home. Either way, I'll see you after the game right here on Locked On Illini. ILL. Love you guys.